I think this session that we're going to have is going to be very, very interesting because, yes, global investment in the RE sector, net zero, nothing happens without investment. And otherwise it will be net zero if the investment doesn't come in. So this session, we are really, I think, first we have to assess probably what is the demand in the different regions or different spheres of renewable activity that we're looking at. And that will range from production of electricity through solar, wind, whatever source you might say, geothermal, hydro, getting on to hydrogen. And I think all this without a complement of storage is meaningless, because energy has, in some forms at least, to be kept in a package which is transportable. In fact, that has been the strength of the oil sector. See, while globally the economy suffered a setback in the last 2 years, particularly, but I was just seeing that the wealth of the major oil companies of the world involved in production has shot up. And maybe it's 3x in some cases, 2x gradually. And this is for a fuel that we are saying is going to pollute the world, or has polluted the world. So that's the paradox. So the global investment, I think there should be some regime that the profits that you have made out of the fossil fuel sector, which has caused this crisis or this climate crisis, they must be plowed into the renewable energy sector. Now, unless that kind of a directive comes from some global body, unfortunately there is none, but international funding agencies, some discipline, or the respective host or home governments of those companies impose heavy taxation on those profits from fossil fuel with a commitment to plow it into renewable energy, I do not see how the money bag is going to be filled. Now, how you plow back these profits into different regions of the world, principles of equity or principles of wealth, that is another issue. The international funding agencies are there. They are prioritizing the UN Charter. But honestly, I do not see anything beyond a carbon fund at the moment, or any other global fund which is dedicated in a time-bound manner to fund this energy transition. We have experts from different parts of the world here today in this panel. So lucky to have them. And I would be very, very grateful if some of you can put your thoughts to that, besides what you have planned to speak, because my years of experience show that unless you plan the investment in advance and distribute it equitably, your development or the redevelopment could be even more skewed than your present development. Because what has the pandemic shown? It is the incomes of the lowest income groups have come down in this period. So inequality is a factor which has exacerbated over this period, unfortunately, because wages were lost. And now with this electronic medium of working and communicating, many people, I think, in the developing world who were not skilled to go this way into employment or get their wage out of this mode, they have gone out of employment or are underemployed. I mean, why I say that with some degree of confidence is that I do manage some, sorry, I switched on this thing for that. Some agriculture holdings in the family. And I feel that, in the rural landscape, employability has decreased because we prepared them for a certain kind of employment. Those jobs are not available now. And these modes have made, of course, life much easier. But I think they've further hit into their jobs. So it's a very complex issue which governments of the day come only for 5 years, by and large. But somebody has to think of it and tell them that, look here, the perspective into which you have to look has to be much bigger and larger. And that is where I think our international agencies, they are the fabric which is permanent and can convey that thought through a process like a bureaucracy in a government. That is the link, the continuing link. So I think with these words, I've said more than I ought to. I was just waiting for more participants to come. I will now request our key speakers to get going. Mr. Popley, I think we have with us, it's a truncated time, but I presume we can keep the session on. That's subject to all of you till about 1:30. So 10 minutes each. Go ahead. Popley sir, go ahead. Do we have a roving mic here somewhere? One.